Yo, what's up, everybody? It's time for a little predictions and prize picks. It's the Prize Picks prediction show. I'm Jeff Ketchum, joined by Anwar, Cody, Jason. We're doing the thing. Do us a solid. Jump in to the comments section. Let us know your predictions for Vanderbilt and Texas on Saturday. It's the next biggest moment of the season, and this video is brought to you by the guys over at Prize Picks. Play $50, get 50 instantly. You got to use that promo code Orange Blood. You can't have used it before. You have to be a new user, but you might as well get that 10 times payout for your initial $5. Get the hookup. Fellas, I got to be honest as we get started here today. And Jason, I'll just come to you first. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'll get talked into my official prediction as we go. As we record this video, though, I don't know what to think about this game at all. I guess my head tells me that Vanderbilt is actually better than Texas, but I don't know what that means either. I don't know.
Well, especially there are a lot of unknowns with Texas, no matter who they're playing this week, right? With Arch possibly being out. What does Matthew Caldwell bring to the table if he's the starter? So this is a tough game to handicap either way. But I'm with you, Ketch, when you said maybe Vanderbilt just looks like the better team. I mean, I've watched Vandy a few times this year, kind of had them on the background just because, I don't know, I've kind of been fascinated by Vanderbilt, just the story of, them playing well and Diego Pavia. They're a pretty good football team in all three phases, and I don't know that I can say that about Texas. I think what Texas's offensive struggles have been this year, up and down performances there. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like Texas is a favorite. I'm looking at it here as we sit here and record. Texas is 2.5-point favorites, which a little surprising to me. That basically tells you it's almost a push if they were playing on a neutral field. Are we jumping? You want to just jump into predictions? Are we doing this?
Yeah, no. I mean, we'll play, but go with the flow.
Okay. Well, I'm looking. It's 44.5 is the total. Texas 2.5-point favorite. So that tells me 22 to 24 or 22 to 23 to 21-ish. Texas would be according to the odds makers, 23 to 21 Texas. I'm going to flip that, Catch. Anwar and I have said it before, I just can't give this Texas team the benefit of the doubt. I know they're home.
They haven't been home since almost mid-September. It's kind of
So
I don't even know what to make of them being at home. Like, what is it when Texas plays a home game?
Yeah, that's another unknown, right? But I mean, they haven't played exceptionally well at home. I mean, the UTEP game was at home. San Jose State was at home. So, I mean, that's not like they played great in those games. If that feels like forever ago. But I'm going to flip kind of the Vegas odds. I've got Vanderbilt. I wrote it down. I'm going to take Vanderbilt 24 to 20. I just think they're the better football team. They're a more sound football team in all three phases. But like you said, I don't feel great about it. I don't have a great feel on handicapping this game because I don't know what to expect from Texas coming home. I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be. But all in all, even with Arch playing, I think I'd pick Vanderbilt. So I'm going Vanderbilt 24, Texas 20.
Anwar, is your pick impacted at all as to whether Arch plays or not?
No. I don't think that doesn't make a huge impact for me.
Why not?
Well, because Arch has only had, one really good quarter this season, and the other body of work has not really been that great. This offensive line is still this offensive line, regardless of Arch or Matthew Caldwell.
But you don't think there's a difference if Arch plays in this game versus if Matthew Caldwell plays in this game?
No, not dramatic for me, because I don't think Arch has been that good. There hasn't been. There's only been one good quarter of Arch this season that you can hang your hat on. The rest of them has been kind of like, shoulder shrugs as far as that is concerned.
When was that quarter, by the way?
Last week.
So he had no good quarters against Oklahoma?
He had one outstanding quarter. I think the rest have been shoulder shrugs. The rest is just you.
So you think Matthew Caldwell is as good as?
I didn't say that. I didn't jump to that conclusion. I didn't say that. I'm saying that Arch hasn't played great this year. That's just factual.
But it will not impact
I would
How
have
do you
probably
think it's
if
gonna
he's
go?
healthy. I still think this is a game that probably Texas kind of loses, whether he's healthy or not. Like at the end of the day, Texas has been a consistently inconsistent team. This is still a team that lost to Florida. Like, and then we thought the sky was falling, and then they came back and they beat Oklahoma. And he's like, oh, okay, well maybe things are a little bit better. And then this is the same team that struggled to score points against Kentucky, and they need overtime to go against Kentucky to pull out that victory. And then is the team that for 3 quarters looks like crap against Mississippi State, and then in the 4th quarter they just go ham. So what does this team look like? I don't, with Arch, it's still been very inconsistent. I don't know if that changes with him in there. So for me, the big difference is going to be more so that I just don't think Clark Lee is as dumb as the Mississippi State coach with Levy, and I don't think he's as dumb as Stoops. I don't think he's going to be a guy on 4th and short that decides I'm going to run it up the middle against this Texas defense. Like I don't think he's that. I think he's smarter. I think he's a person that's going to say, you know what, this team actually has a good punt returner. Let's just find ways to try to get around that as best as we can. I think he's a better coach than the two that they face. And so I think Vanderbilt overall is a team that I'm going to pick to win, and my score for them is going to be Vanderbilt 20, Texas 17.
Cody, when we look at Vanderbilt, it's funny. We did our SEC power poll, and one of the things that's just kind of crazy about the SEC is that other than Alabama and Georgia, nobody's really beaten anybody. A&M hasn't beaten anybody ranked higher than LSU, who is 10th in the poll this week. Ole Miss hasn't beaten anybody that's really any good. We saw them have the competitive game against Georgia. Texas hasn't beaten anybody higher than, I think, 11th. Tennessee hasn't beaten anybody higher than 12th. OU, Missouri, like none of these teams, even Vanderbilt, who's 3-1 in conference play, their best win is a 7-point win against Missouri last week at home, which, that game was going on while the Texas game was going on. And I don't know. I didn't quite know what to think of watching either of those two teams play against each other. They were a touchdown better at home than LSU, who no longer has a coach. How good do you actually think Vanderbilt is? Are they just a byproduct of a league that's really just not that good this year and doesn't have any teams that have beaten anybody? Or do you see enough quality mixed in there that there's a benefit of the doubt you're willing to give them even without anything on the resume that would certify them, I think, as a real standout team in a normal SEC season?
I think they're a good team. I think are they standout? No, they're not a standout. Are they a team that I think is going to be on the fringe at the end to make the playoff? Yes. Is it going to be kind of like the South Carolina thing a year ago where you're like, that team probably deserves to get in? It's going to come down to, they're going to play Tennessee that last week of the season. I think it's going to come down to that type of a situation. And you're like, that's probably good enough. They got the Cinderella story. Pavia is going to be in the Heisman race, like things like this. Like, I think that's a really good, sound football team that possesses the football, runs the football well, stops the run well, limits possessions. And when you limit possessions in a one possession conference, you're going to be in every game outside of maybe against the super dominant teams that have an abundance of talent or that maybe have matchup differences on you like Alabama did in Tuscaloosa, as well as having the off-field proponent in that game. Now, in this one, I'll be honest, Onward kind of caught me off guard for a second there with the Arch take. I wasn't really prepared for that. I think Arch has played really well the last 4 weeks. I think he's taken a monumental step forward in each game from different perspective. I still think there's growth that needs to be had at the line of scrimmage from diagnosing blitzers, knowing his hots, making throws and maybe not making certain throws. But I think that some of the big time throws he's had, especially in the latter part of each of these games, has really gone far. And it's not just me. I mean, you can go over to PFF, and I didn't even pull PFF up until now. PFF has Arch Manning as the 17th graded quarterback in the sport in the last 4 weeks. The sport. Like that just doesn't happen for a bad quarterback, right? Like there's guys on here that John Mateer's 49th, right? Like, I don't know. I could go to Bro Prebula, Lenore Sellers, 40th, 41st. Like, he's not playing down to that level. Trinidad Chambliss as a passer is 35th right now. And I know this is yada yada. It's PFF, but it's a good check
Did
mark.
PFF watch the Kentucky game? I mean, come on.
He had an 85.5 passer rating versus Kentucky.
Don't care. It's not.
Don't care about.
I don't care about. Again, he's a 60% completion percentage passer. That does not make the result. The result is W the last 3 weeks, and that's what matters.
Result is punt return defense against Kentucky, dude. Come on.
So Arch Manning doesn't make that throw to Ryan Wingo. They don't win the game. Arch Manning doesn't make that dot of a touchdown pass to Parker Livingstone. They don't win that game.
Okay, Arch Manning plays better. They win that game by. Arch Manning plays better for 90% of that game. They win that game by 24 points.
Growth. It comes with the position you're in. Like,
I'm just saying, you said he's played well the past 4 weeks. That's crazy talk, dude.
That's not crazy talk.
What's happened in the last 4 weeks is this. And when I say something unfactual, by all means, step in and let me know. He was, for better or worse, the best Texas offensive player in the Florida game. And all 4 games that we're about to talk about, none of them took place at home. Even with the 2 interceptions, he comes out of the Florida game with some credit because I think most people realize he's probably the best thing they had going for them on a day when had some drop passes, the running game wasn't working. As I think a lot of it was because he'd really been so poor up until that point in the season that you looked at the Florida game, and even though he has the 2 picks, it's like there's something in that performance that you can build off of. I thought he was the best part of the offense against Oklahoma, and all you had to do was go back and watch the film review by the review guy, whatever he goes by. What's his name?
Brooks Austin.
Thank you. He spent like an hour talking about all of the throws that Arch made in that game and why, if you watched Arch's talent in that game, he would have showed you why there was a thought that he could be a number 1 pick in the draft. That there's just, when he makes quality throws, they're quality. Now he goes up against Kentucky and it's an abortion. Like, it's just a disaster performance. They get the W, but it really was, for me, as low of a moment for Arch because you thought he had turned a little bit of the corner and he should have played better, and he missed some wide open throws. But then last week, and I'll lean back again on the film guy, who's not an Orange Bloods guy. I don't think he's a Texas fan. He's just a guy that realizes that if I make a bunch of Texas videos, people will watch them. He talks about how in the last 20 minutes on Saturday against against Mississippi State, like, he didn't miss. It was, and if you go back and watch that, it's like a 45-minute video. He outlines play by play the decisions that were made, the throws that were made, the difficulty of everything that's involved. It wasn't perfect, but it was really good. So if you talk about the last 4 weeks, all on the road, he was the best offensive player to really speak of in 3 of those 4 games: Florida, Oklahoma, Mississippi State. He was wretched against Kentucky, and I just think it's a misstep to put too much focus on Kentucky and to not look at the full body of work that takes place in October, which was the last 20 minutes of this month.
You keep saying last 20 minutes. There's 40 other minutes of that game. And to say he was the best player against Oklahoma and Florida is a pretty low bar.
But is it inaccurate?
It's not like –
Is it inaccurate? I asked you to tell me.
It's not inaccurate, but they scored
was the best offensive player on those days.
Oklahoma. They scored 16 points against
Oklahoma. He was the best offensive player in those days.
Very low bar.
That's not what I'm
Listen,
asking.
I'm not a bash Arch train. I'm just saying, like, let's be objective.
The point of this
here,
conversation is, does this game change if Arch Manning plays in it versus if he doesn't?
Yes.
I'm saying
a little bit.
In 3 of the last 4 games, and PFF's gradings would go along with this. Again, independent, whatever we think of PFF, they are independent. It is their own rankings. They would say that Arch Manning's the highest rated offensive player on the entire team in 3 of the last 4 games. It's only
on
my
one of the worst offenses in college.
If I know that Arch Manning is playing in this game healthy, I'm picking Texas. I don't think he's going to play on Saturday. I think he's a huge miss. The running game is missed. His ability to make off-schedule plays is missed. I think playing in that pocket, which is maybe the dirtiest pocket in all of college football, week in and week out. I mean, it really is when you watch that film guy do breakdowns and he starts talking about 60% of the pockets were dirty. And then you watch them get dirty. You're like, Jesus Christ, how does anybody play there? I think if Arch Manning doesn't play, I think it's a huge deal. For me, it's the difference between winning and losing. And I think what's really interesting is I was curious what the point totals were going to be. I think Anwar was 20-17 for Vanderbilt. Is that right?
Correct.
And Jason, you were 24-20?
Correct. Yep.
It's the point total I can't figure out. Like Anwar, I don't know what benefit of the doubt to give the Texas defense. They're playing at home. Does it change at all if I tell you Texas, because I don't know that it does for me, I still might pick Vanderbilt. If 17 wins the game on Saturday, does that change your thought? Because I don't know if Texas gets to 17. Not if Arch doesn't play.
I mean, the thing is, Texas can get to 17 because they can have a turnover. Now you're saying 17 offensive points or 70 cumulative points, right?
I think total points scored in this game, I think the winner hits 17, but I don't know that it hits 20. But that is also me telling you, if I say that I'm giving the Texas defense benefit of the doubt that it didn't earn last week. I mean, it didn't play well last week, and they didn't play well against Florida. That's 2 of the last 4 games. Actually, Arch has been more consistent in the last month than the Texas defense has been. So I don't know. Like I'm gonna pick. I think the difference in this game is Vanderbilt's got a bunch of old dudes, and Texas is young and inexperienced, and maybe not built to win a game like this with a backup quarterback. I'll go Vanderbilt 17-16, but I don't feel good about it. I might change my mind. And my prediction does change if for some reason Arch Manning rolls out on the field on Saturday at 11 o'clock, which is not what I'm expecting. But I think everybody's going to find out real quick just how valuable Arch Manning is by getting a look at the number 2 guy. And I think Steve Sarkisian knows it. The one thing he did not say on Monday when he talked to the media was that, like, we have all of the confidence that if we're asked to play 4 quarters with Matthew Caldwell as our quarterback, that we can absolutely beat Vanderbilt. No questions asked. That's how much faith we have in him. Instead, he was like, you know what kind of excited me the most today? KJ Lacey got to work out with the 2s. And it was like, huh? Wait, what? Shouldn't you be selling your team through the media that this is the guy? And I came away from that thinking he's going to manage this like Game 7 of the World Series. He's going to be in the first quarter, and if he has to go to the lefty out of the bullpen to get 2 outs, I think that's how he coaches Anwar. I think this whole game is a season upon itself. If Arch doesn't play, can you win this, give yourself 2 weeks to get ready for Georgia, and everything is still in front of you? It really does feel like they're going to be coaching and playing a desperate game on Saturday.
I mean, the thing is, I'll say this. You know, Steve Sarkisian hangs his hat on being able to develop quarterbacks. Well, if your starter is out, you should be able to have an adequate quarterback. I'm not saying that he has to come in and be great, right? I'm not putting that on him, but if this is your wheelhouse and this is the thing that's supposed to be your strength, and this is the being he talked last week, right? When we talked about play calling, well, this is why I was hired, right? Well, another reason you were hired is because you were supposed to be the person who could develop quarterbacks. And Texas hadn't had a good string of quarterback development in all those years. So, like, remember that too, right, in the conversation. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, Catch, but I'm just adding to that I can't also poor mouth it and say, oh, man, you got to throw in Matthew Caldwell. I got to say, Sark, You said you were hired for play calling, but guess what? You were also hired to have develop quarterbacks and have a next guy up mentality. Again, he doesn't have to look like a Heisman candidate, but he should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time and operate your offense. So I do understand this is a desperation time. Like, you lose and you're out. This is single elimination for Texas. You lose and you're out. You see the teams that are ranked ahead of Texas in the SEC standings as far as trying to get to the conference championship. Next week, we'll have the playoffs committee releasing their stuff on Tuesday. There's teams that are ranked ahead of them. You lose to Vanderbilt, you're just hoping and wishing and praying, and it ain't gonna happen. There's too many teams that ain't. Texas A&M,
Georgia and Texas A&M, and then hope that there's a scenario where, and I think they would get in maybe at 9-3 if a 9-3 team got in with wins over Georgia and A&M in the final month, but. There's a better chance that they go 7-5 at that point than lose to Vanderbilt and then go 9-3 and run the table.
Just remember, I did this on my show here, but if you just want to look at this real quick, this is the remaining schedules for the other teams. Now, I don't understand. Like, Tyler messed me up again.
I'm so confused. There's just
Tyler messed it up again. Like, I don't know what the hell he's doing. But in any case, if you look in the remaining schedules,
so it's all of Texas. Put it back up. That's Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt.
But he missed one. I think he did Vanderbilt twice this time.
He did
his redo of a one that he messed up the first time, and then he messed it up a second time.
God damn it, Tyler. We're missing the Aggies is what we're missing.
He missed A&M, and A&M, their schedule is pretty favorable as well. So.
No, they're at Missouri, and then they're home against South Carolina, the Citadel, and then they got
Sanford.
Sanford. That's what it is,
Sanford, and then Texas. Most of those teams don't have teams in front of them that they're going to lose to. The majority of them don't.
Now, guys, when it comes to PrizePicks, well, first of all, early on, this is all you get right now on the Texas side are the Red Devils.
Not touching it.
I might throw a Wingo or a Livingston, like if I was just feeling frisky, but there's nothing on there that has me feeling anything. Does anybody want any of that?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Because you don't know which one of these guys is going to be the guy, right? I mean, that first of all, the James Simon, only his family is picking that one, right? Outside of that, you just don't know which one of those guys is going to be the guy that scores. Like, that's just too hard.
And my score has Texas only scoring one touchdown on Saturday. I really believe if they're going to get more than one, and it could happen, but it'll have to come from the defense or special teams. Defense hasn't been that all season. It's kind of hard to expect them to just show up in week, even though they really do have all their best players are really playing really, really well. Man, if I knew Michael Taft was going to play, I'd feel a lot better about the Vanderbilt thing. I don't know what to really do with Vanderbilt either, other than I probably would take Pavia with the more on the passing yards.
Really?
If I don't know that Michael Taft is going to play, I'm worried about. I thought one of the things that Vanderbilt did, Cody, was they realized anytime, and it didn't happen a lot, but it happened early in the game. Whenever they were taking Anthony Hill off the field and they were playing like a Ty Anthony Smith, Leonga Lafau, sometimes Trey Moore was mixed in there. Every time they saw that look, they worked the middle of the field. And I'm a little worried about that a little bit. Hill's been great. I saw your stats the other day that how good he's been in coverage. But, I think Taft's such a big loss. I noticed it last week. Every time, I can remember the week before, every time Kentucky tried to get to the outside, it felt like McDonald and Taft were waiting for him. This past week against Mississippi State, every time there was a player that Mississippi State had going into the flat, working that short, wide area of the field, there was no safety help. There was no Phil Simi coming over. There certainly wasn't any Derek Williams coming over. It was just like, oh, that's just a 5 to 10-yard window of the field that's somewhat conceded because Texas doesn't quite have that heat-seeking missile diagnosing those plays as well. I don't know. I don't know. I do not. This is not going to be my PrizePicks game of the week. I don't know what the hell to do.
Hey, Catch. I'm looking at the live stats as our projections as we're talking. Pavia is 184.5 passing. He's 47.5 now rushing. Okay, so add those up. You're at 184,
232.
232, right? But then his combined passing and rushing is 242, 241.5. So, like, if you're just a math geek, there's good value in the less on his combined passing and rushing, or you could look at, I guess,
There's more value in the rushing and the passing, I guess.
Individuals, yeah, but those usually add up pretty close. But there's a 10-yard difference on that combined. And then also
numbers are high, man. Almost 50 yards in the game, including sacks. What did he do last year in this game?
He had 67.
I don't know. That took me a minute. How much, Cody?
67 last year on 16 attempts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sacked 0 times.
Is right. I think there may be some value in the more on the rushing yards. I mean, if you use those numbers from last year, it's going to be a big part of what they do offensively. There's a part of me that likes the Cedric Alexander more on the 35 and a half rushing. Coming home, hometown boy, it's not a huge number. So I don't know, but this is one. I don't know that I'm going to have a whole lot of action on this one.
There's also that's been added. It must have been added while we started talking. But there's a Mason Shipley for Texas, 6.5 kicking points.
Love.
I don't think that was.
I like that one.
If we think,
love it.
Yeah, that'd be the one. And there is, for what it's worth, there's an Arch Manning now rushing and receiving Red Devils. So
no, I did see that. That was on the.
Is that on there? Okay.
Yeah, I'll pop that back up there. It's in the top left-hand corner.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I don't know. Does this tell us that PrizePicks thinks Arch is playing? Do we take anything at all in Arch even being up as an option?
I don't think so. Not this early in the week.
No, because they got James Simon as an option. Like, all due respect to James Simon, but James Simon's kind of far down the pecking order. They haven't gotten a memo over there at PrizePicks on that.
Wait, this will be the game James Simon has 2 touchdown rushes in it.
I'm gonna get all these hate DMs and ats from the Simon family. Like, you disrespected us. I saw you.
Never again if it happens.
Yes.
But if it doesn't happen and they put James Simon up there again next week, just know same thing could happen. Actually, it's a bye week. We know we won't see James Simon next week. One way or the other, we'll be either drinking the champagne victory or licking our wounds from whatever happens in this ungodly game. All right.
Hey, real quick, I don't think we ever got Cody's actual score.
I was about to say that, Jason. Your score, Cody, because I don't think we got it. 3 of us went Vanderbilt, even if I was super begrudgingly.
Yeah, I wrote in my reaction column after the game that if I had to predict, and that was like in the mid-third quarter, I was like, I'm gonna probably pick Vandy by 14 going into next week. And as that game went on, obviously whatever happened. I was looking at like drives, explosive plays. Obviously, I did explosive plays on my behind enemy lines this week, and they gave up 8 explosive plays. Texas did in the game, super explosives against Mississippi State, which is the most since the Oklahoma State game in 2022. They gave up 7 against Clemson in the college football playoff last year, but in 2024, they never gave up more than 4. And this year before Mississippi State, they never gave up more than 4. Against Vanderbilt last year, Vanderbilt had 1. And when you look at Vanderbilt this year, they have no pass completions of more than 40 yards, which is something that we obviously saw happen last week. And most of their explosives that came out of the run game. Texas is good in the run game. They're the best in the conference in defensive rushing. And I think that I'm most interested in this game to see how Vanderbilt attacks on offense, because if you play the Vanderbilt style of football, you're playing into the Texas defensive style of football. Like you want to play slow, you want to have 9 or 10 drives in a game instead of Texas has had 17, 14, 10, and 13 the last 4 games. Vanderbilt's had 11, 10, 9, 10. And they want to play a slow game. They want to have these 9, 10, 11, 12 play drives for 70 yards and 80 yards. And then they, take 8, 10 minutes off the clock and they want to control the thing. Well, I think that benefits Texas on defense. I think this is a super low scoring game, kind of like Ketch alluded to a little bit. And it was funny. I chuckled when you said 17 to win it because I literally wrote down 16. And my prediction is 15-13. Texas gets 5 field goals to win the game. Vanderbilt has 13. That 13 can either come by a touchdown, 2 field goals, or a touchdown, another touchdown, go for 2, miss the 2. It's 15-13, game over. Texas wins 15-13. Me and Ketch are tied with the best record. I got to be different than Ketch.
It's funny. First of all, I do want to say that I'm not locked into my prediction. Like I'm waiting. Is there anything with Arch at all? Should I take anything out of the fact that he apparently was driving a car yesterday? That can't be bad.
It can't be bad. It's broad daylight, right? I mean,
can we go back and
glasses on?
Can we get a date on that picture? Like, can we put that thing through like Google and like see when that picture was taken or something?
It's from like 2021 on his unofficial visit. It's funny how, as we wrap up on War, we're not really that far away from scores, right? At the end of the day, I've got 17-16. You've got 20-17. Jason scores probably in line with what Vegas thinks the point total is going to be, which is probably how he got to that point total to some degree. And yet I feel like we see the game and the team. I mean, this is probably what happens when you played 8 games and from week to week, I don't know if is that chocolate with caramel? Is that chocolate with nuts? Is there a little bit of a cherry filling? I don't know. I literally look in the box and it's like, I don't know. Is that one where Arch plays or not? Does the defense show up or are they more of who they've been in half the last 4 games? I don't know. Like I feel like we have a wider opinion of who Texas is and some of the key components of it than we actually do on how the result of the game or the score will be. Like when you and I think there's some disagreement on Texas a little bit. And yet when you look at it, you've got Texas losing by 3. I've got Texas losing by 1. We're quibbling. We're really quibbling to find a lot of difference in the 2 selections, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all, outside of the Arch thing, I think there's a universal agreement that we can say, well, the offense hasn't played well and but we know that they can do things at times. I think that's the thing that makes it so crazy is that you see it in spurts. You just don't see it consistently. You see, like you said, the defense in the last couple of games, you see them kind of be a little bit leaky, which we haven't necessarily seen. So, yeah, I don't know. But we say all this and watch Texas wins by like 17 and everyone is dunking on our face on Saturday, which I don't think any of us would mind if that happens, by the way.
Oh, man, my favorite thing in the world is when we get dunked on and everybody's happy. I know what it's like to get dunked on and everybody's pissed. So it's like the Ryan Niblett thing. Dude, I'll jinx every player and I'll reverse jinx everybody if that's what it takes. Oh, I am eating enchiladas in the next 48 hours. I'm a little disappointed that Cody, I'm going to end up flipping my pick to Texas because I haven't had the enchiladas yet. But the only thing that's consistent about this football team is that they're 3-0 when I have like a grab bag of mediocre Tex-Mex to try to like stave off the Florida Gator demons from. By the way, just last thing going out the door on this change of mood, mainly because I referenced the game in Florida. I don't even know the right words, thoughts, well wishes, prayers, all that stuff. Scott Wilson, his sister mentions yesterday that on social media that Scott's being moved into a hospice. There's no one else in the world like Scott Wilson, that there's no other Texas fan. Jason and I know Jim Mills and he takes such pride in his streak. And yet Jim's not going to every baseball game. And it's just a level of commitment in Scott Wilson. It doesn't seem fair that he's not ever going to come home. Like that he went to Gainesville to continue the streak and then he's never going to breathe in the state of Texas again. It doesn't seem fair. It feels like they should have taken the games to him. I don't know how. Somehow his streak should still be going. And like, I'm absolutely heartbroken that a guy who is so kind to everybody doesn't get to be closer to home. It feels like he should die on the 50-yard line of DKR, that's how it should happen. I'm absolutely heartbroken that like, it looks like this will go the way that's going to go. And I'll just say, ever since I've been covering Texas football and sports in general, Scott Wilson, just a peach of a human being, always so nice, always so kind, always so free with his time. And felt like he deserves a little bit of a shout out. I hope he is peaceful, and I hope that he's been able to watch the Horns the last couple of weeks and enjoy at least some victories, and just not the same without Scott Wilson. Even going to the games, even right now, just something doesn't quite feel right about it. And on that note, I don't know if anybody else has anything to say, guys. Jump into the comments, give us your predictions. Does Arch not playing? And if he doesn't, does that swing your pick? Didn't swing Anwar's. I don't know if it would have swung Jason's at all. Definitely swings mine. And it doesn't sound like it would swing Cody's, because Cody doesn't give a fuck. He's going with a 15-13 game that if we see it, we'll just all bow down and we'll take it. 15-13 sounds great right about now. Words I did not think I would say in August, but 15-13 in November against Vanderbilt, sign me up, baby. For myself, Anwar, Jason, Cody, everybody at PrizePicks, use that promo code OrangeBloods. Get 50 when you play 5, when you sign up, but you got to use the passcode. It's that simple. They don't just give it to you because they like, oh, that's a zip code in Texas. Let's just give them the orange. No, that's not how it works. You do have to type in Orange Bloods, and we do appreciate it when you do that. Get in the game, have some fun. We'll see you next week. We'll do this again. We won't have a Texas game next week. We'll just pick all of our favorite picks and have some fun with it, and hopefully everybody will make some money. You guys have a great rest of the day. We'll see you soon. Later.